Testing, testing, testing. Start streaming. Start streaming. Excellent connection. All right, today we are going to try to recover data from Kristen's iPhone 6S. And look at Kristen's iPhone 6S. She says that touch doesn't work. Let's check. I've tried like 3 or 4 screens because I really wanted this to be easy. But that is not the case here for Kristen's iPhone 6S. It definitely has no touch function. And without the help of special tools, we are going to need to have touch because you've got to enter the passcode, and only after entering the passcode will the device talk to tools that communicate by USB. So because of USB restriction, we can't plug in any kind of dongle or keyboard or anything like that. We're going to have to make this thing have touch. So how are we going to do it? How are we going to start? We are going to start by using the iBridge. This is where the iBridge really shines, and we're going to jump right into that. I've set up my Stream Deck. This is my first time trying to live stream with Stream Deck, where I can do stuff like this. Boom! Look at that. Now we are already looking at the hand cam, and here we go. So this is the iPhone, and what I'm going to do is take the iBridge and connect the ye olde iBridge into the display connector. And what this does is it extends the connector so that I can take my diode mode readings and even a voltage test if I need to do a voltage test all the way over here. And even better than that, it actually has the diode mode numbers written on it. So I can just bip, 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 figure out very quickly what's going on with this device. So I've got my multimeter set in diode mode right here. And I'm going to go down the row. So let's see how we can do that. Let's go here. And are we looking down the microscope? Oh, yeah. There we go. All right. So as you can guess from the title, I did this a few seconds ago. I really intended to, I took this from home back to work to say, oh, let's do a good old eye socket stream. And then it didn't take very long to figure out what's going on. So this is more or less the right reading, I think. Yep, 0.3. And then here we go. Problem. My multimeter is saying 0.004, and maybe you guys can even hear that beep. That is not normal. This line, 42, which is clearly stated as the AP interrupt line, because I'm sure you guys can all read that right here. I wonder what that actually says. It's supposed to be 0.360, and we have ground. So we have a short circuit on number 42. Let's head to the schematic. Schematic, boom. Oh my God, it's so amazing, it's so awesome. All right, this is working. So line number 42 is this one here, touch to AP interrupt. Let's see it all the way from the connector just because we want to use our Stream Deck. Touch to AP interrupt when low. All right, so this is a line here at pin 42. There we go, pin 42. That's short, should not be short. Short to ground on this line, touch to AP. AP is the CPU. So this is the screen talking to the CPU. Interrupt. Now, an interrupt is when the CPU is processing, and the screen wants to raise its hand and say, hey, I need you to take care of this for me real quick. It's kind of like a Disney Fast Pass. Hey, I want to interrupt you. Take care of my request real quick, and then you can get back to whatever boring crap you're doing. So the L means the signal is when low. So raising your hand and saying, hey, touchscreen wants to say something, that signal is when the line goes low. In this case, it's going to be low all the time. And we can see, all right, why is it short to ground? So one place where it could be short to ground is, let's see, it goes from the connector. No way for it to be short to ground at the connector. Connector can't just start talking to ground. Where else does it go? It goes through a filter. Here it is on this page. And aha, we got one chance. C4254. If C4254 is in fact a wire to ground, then hallelujah, all we need to do is relieve the short to ground by getting rid of that wire, and then the line will go back to normal. So that's one possibility, C4254. And the next, well, can't be a filter. Filter can't become a wire to ground. Where else does it go? That's the same place we've been. Where else does it go? And here it is at Maui, the CPU. So it could be short to ground here within the CPU itself. Now, as you can see from I put a title on this, and this is live, so I might change the title. But right now, the title is, what if it shorts in the CPU? And I'll tell you why I think that is the likely case, which would be a real drag, right? If the short is that cap, we're golden. But if the short is within the CPU, that's a big problem. So let me tell you why I think that might be the case. So we're going to go back to the hand cam and always be thinking, you're a physician, how did it come to be this way? So here is our note. This is the note. And this says, touch screen is broken after trying to replace the screen with a small crack. Dun, 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 dun. The touch screen worked before the replacement. So in my experience, and who knows, this could be anything. This is totally live. I have no idea. I can't say for sure. But in my experience, my crystal ball says that the likely case is that this was a perfectly working, straight up cracked screen 6S, and that somebody plugged in the wrong screen or the screen into the wrong connector. And that may have inadvertently electrocuted this line, electrocuting the CPU, causing a little tiny baby explosion inside the CPU, which is making that line touch ground. So that's that's the likely case here. So what are we going to do? What we're going to do is step one, we're going to figure out exactly whether the short is in the CPU or is it in the capacitor, which is the only two possibilities. So how are we going to do that? What we're going to do is take a look here under the microscope, and we're going to find on ZXW, let's see, here's ZXW. Well, I'm liking the Stream Deck, I have to say. All right, so ZXW says, here, filter, FL4254. This really splits the line between this side, which goes to the CPU, or goes to the connector, and then the other side goes over here to the CPU. So if we take that filter off, then that's like cutting the line in half, and then we'll be able to determine for sure whether or not the short circuit is actually within the CPU, or hopefully not within the CPU. And if it is within the CPU, then I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to see what chat has to say about that. All right. So we're going to go to, let's see, let me get off of this and say microscope. Did that work? Sometimes I can't quite tell what it does. Yeah, here we go. Microscope. So I've got my battery disconnected. We'll orient this to be exactly the same as the way it is on ZXW. So right there. And now let's just glance back at ZXW and say, hey, where's that filter that we need to take off? All right, it's the one that's one step up above the square dude. All right, so we see the square guy. So we've got it. All right, so let's do a little hair dryer heat and see if we can knock that thing off. All right, so it's right to repair season ramping up again. The very first hearing. Tune in here tomorrow for another hearing in my home state. Oh, not supposed to touch the microphone. My home state, the great state of Maryland. I would love it if Maryland was the first state to pass the digital right to repair. I love Maryland. They're smart people. I love the Maryland legislature so much. And in fact, that was the last place that I went before COVID, in the time before COVID, was to the Maryland State House. This time, the hearing is virtual, being done by Zoom, and that's something that they are you know, trying to figure out how to do. But it's a little bit new. So we'll have to see how that goes. And I submitted some testimony yesterday. Now, for you guys that live in Maryland, it is not too late for you to submit written testimony to the Senate hearing, which is next week. It is too late for the House hearing, which is tomorrow, but the Senate hearing is still open. So I think I'll put on tomorrow's video, which is going to be about right to repair in Maryland. I will put some links on how you can get involved. My sister wrote a letter today. It was a great letter. Since between last year and this year, her husband has started working in a cell phone repair shop locally, which I think is so awesome. So she wrote this really nice little heartfelt letter about protecting small businesses and local businesses and those guys not having to drive 2.5 hours to the closest Apple authorized service provider. All right, so it looks like there's our filter. So we're gonna pop that off with mini hot tweezers, saving it in case we actually fix this and need to put that back on. Who knows if that's gonna happen or not, all right? What intelligible data could one even extract from a CPU in its non-volatile memory anyway? No clue on that. I mean, that would be something. That would be something else if you could actually extract the key bag from the secure enclave. That'd be how to get rich quick. Figure out how to do that. All right, so we're gonna knock this dude off. All right, now the CPU itself, I'm going to store him right there. CPU is unique to the device. So a CPU has a series of fuses that are burned when the CPU is born. So swapping one CPU for another is going to have a different sort of fingerprint. So they all have their own little fingerprint. So there's no way to just swap out another CPU. Okay, so let's see. All right, now let's review. We've got a bottom pad and an up pad. Which one is the pad that goes to the CPU? Let's see. So the bottom pad, according to ZXW here, the bottom pad is the one that goes to the CPU, and the top pad is the one that goes to the cap. So if we're lucky, the top pad will be short, which means it's the capacitor or some little piece of metal touching each other somewhere at the connector. But more likely, it's going to be the bottom one. So what is it? Let's find out right now. Where is the short? Is it going to be, because poor Kristen's phone has been electrocuted, in the CPU? Or is it going to be a nice, easy repair here? Oh, bottom. Sounds like my crystal ball was right. Top pad, nice and quiet. Open line. Bottom, 0.003. This means that we do indeed have a short circuit within the CPU, which means that as far as the CPU is concerned, somebody is always kind of pressing on the buzzer on the doorbell. Hey, listen to me. And that doesn't ever let up because the CPU is being held low on that line. So what are we going to do about that? Chat, help me out. What do you think we should do about that? Nicobar says, let's go, Top. I agree, but it didn't work out. Spectre screwed up his DoorDash order from Panera. Damn it. That is a shame. All right, let's see. Anybody else? They'll randomly mute halfway through a lecture. What? All right. So take stuff off the board. Ask them to stop ringing the doorbell. Okay. Re-hot CPU, bro. Zap it. I like Lord Sandwich. Lord Sandwich, you got the right thinking, right? So our theory is, what if we apply a small voltage to the short? If we think about what is the short anyway, right? The short is going to be inside the CPU, a thin wire is touching ground when it shouldn't be. So what if we applied some energy to that system? And when you apply electricity to a system, what gets hot? The thinnest wire. Well, in this system, the thinnest wire would be the part that's not supposed to be touching ground, in theory, right? So if we applied, on purpose, a little bit of electricity into the short, could we burn the thin wire so that it stopped being short and returned it to the native state? I don't know. One thing I'm going to do first, though, I think that I would be remiss if I didn't just say, hey, right now, we're assuming that this is a conversation going from the screen to the CPU. Yeah, but it's possible that there's a conversation, I don't know how, but from the CPU to the screen, which we've now broken. So before we go crazy and send electricity down this line, which that's the plan, I'm just going to make sure that with that filter off, that we still don't have touch. So let me check on that real quick. Are we on hand cam? All right. Hand cam it is. This is the kind of stuff that they definitely do not do in the authorized repair centers. If you go down to the Genius Bar or any of the, Apple authorized repair center, ain't nobody's going to be trying to electrocute any short out of the CPU. So let's see. But first, will it magically have touch since we have at least isolated the short in the CPU away from the screen? I don't know. There's a lot of things that are, could be connected in ways that we don't understand. So I think it would be smart to just rule this out. Maybe touch will work. Touch, work! Come on. God damn it. No luck there. All right, so it makes sense. All right. You use the short to kill the short. All right, so let's see. Pop the short like a fuse. That's exactly what our plan is. All right, so now I really don't see any path other than being able to use a specialty tool, which is kind of the ace in the hole, and that's why we're willing to do this. Or get touch working by burning that short out of that CPU. So let's see what happens. And now I've done this before, not on this line, but I have had success with this method. Now, of course, it's super dangerous, and you can, get into some trouble. But it's kind of fun when the solution to the problem is the same as the cause of the problem. It's kind of like touch disease, where you could bend the phone and now touch doesn't work. Well, bend it again and now touch is working again. So we're going to say somehow Krista's phone got electrocuted, and that's how she got into this mess. And we are going to get her out of this mess. I don't know. This is like maybe even 50-50. I don't even think it's that much. All right, so let's go back to microscope view. So how are we going to inject a voltage into the CPU? We're going to electrocute the CPU. It's kind of like the beatings will continue until morale improves. You hear me, CPU? I'm talking to you. Getting ready to get zapped. Why? Because the last time you got zapped, you didn't act right. So we're doing it again. And that'll learn you. That'll learn you. All right, I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Warning, the stream's current bit rate is low. Well, that sucks, because my hands are all super busy. All right, let's see. Inject voltage with a magtrometer. I will do no such thing, although I did get a magnetron for my microwave. I intended to make a video about that. This was I think it was about a year ago. Yeah, it was the fixing of the microwave for when my husband turned 50, which was a year ago this Saturday. We fixed the built-in microwave because I felt it would be easier to replace the magnetron on that ancient 1980s microwave than it would be for me to figure out how to replace cabinetry, since that microwave is built in and it controls the oven, and I don't really know how to mess with all that. All right, so we've got a wire soldered on here, And I need to cut this wire and make it so that I can attach some kind of probes to it. So if you're just joining us, we are intentionally about to electrocute this CPU. We're going to burn it. We're going to beat on it. We're going to smack it. We are going to inject pain. We're going to vaccinate it against future trouble. All right, let's see. I'm going to give it a little shot. This won't hurt a bit. All right, so these magnet wires have insulation on them. And we're going to see. Damn, it's hard to pinpoint this wire. It's right here. Oh, if you're just looking around as it flies around this stream. Yep. All right, so we got to like burn off the insulation so that we can connect to it. Now, let's have you guys recommend an electrocution voltage. So let's just kind of put on your evil electrocutioner hats right now and see, what do you recommend? Because we can inject 20 volts into the CPU. What do you think? 1 volt somewhere in the middle? I'm not sure. All right, so I'm going to go with, let's see, I got 1 volt and half an amp. Sunny is suggesting 20 volts. I feel like Sunny may not really care about Krista, who, by the way, is from New York City, just like Sunny. I think the term zapping it fits pretty well. Very short pulses might be more harmless to the circuit while still providing enough energy to remove the short, and I would recommend 3 volts. That's probably good. I'm going to say something between 1 to 3. Let's stick it on, let's do 3. 3 sounds good. 3 sounds like probably how we got into this mess to start with. 3 volts it is. We got a vote for, another vote for 3 volts. Got a vote for 5 volts. Vote for 240 volts from Nash. I won't be fixing this board funk. All right. Let's see. Now I'm going to put it on 3 volts. So 3 volts. Now I'm going to hook up the red wire. And if I was a better stream user, I think I'm going to be sure that this wire is soldered on here. Sometimes it's not. I'm going to solder the wire to the alligator clamp. Then I would be able to show you the little flash of current that you get on this. Well, let's see. Let's be sure. Let's actually solder the wire right there. There we go. Now I'm sure. I'm sure that wire is definitely connected. All I need to do is touch it to ground, and that will inject. Let's see. Where's my hand cam? Here we go. Here's my situation. All right. So I've got my wire, and all I need to do to inject is zit, 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 touch ground right here, and I'm going to watch. If I was on that other DC power. That's not something I can hook up. Is it? Really like for you guys to be able to see. I think it's too hard. All right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to zap it. Incoming 3, 2, 1. I don't see any flicker. No flicker of current at all. Nothing. Which tells me that maybe my wire broke off. All right, let's examine. I'm going to check. Do I have continuity from my alligator clamp? From my alligator clamp to Yep, I do. All right, let's just see. Do I still have a short? Maybe not. I didn't see any current, but maybe it worked. Let's see. Let's get back to the board here. Was I touching the right thing? I don't know. All right. Let's see. Diode mode. Red probe on ground and no, it's still short. Boo. Let's see. Ground and OL. I'm pretty sure I'm touching that. Hey, fellas, I think this short might be gone. Woo! All right, let's see what happens. I think the short might be gone. It's a little bit hard to tell because you've got flux everywhere and you're touching stuff. I think, by George, we might have done it. All right, silence, says Spectre. Yes, silence. Are we needing to take a moment of silence for Spectre's Panera order? Just have a moment of silence for that. All right, so I'm going to take this wire off, and I'm going to really now regret deeply the fact that because I had such little faith that this was actually going to work, that when I put the filter just on top of one of these screws, I didn't really care about it that much. I thought the chance that we were ever going to need it again was super low. So I think it flew off. Well, let's see. Let's get out the old magnifying glass. Surely it's still there. Aha. That's him, isn't it? Let's check. Yeah, that's him, isn't it? That's either the filter or some random cap. Let's assume that it is the filter, put it back in there and see if we're right. If it's some random cap, then we'll just take it back off again. All right, we're all in the right place. Let's see. Nope, it's a random cap. It's not the right size. It's too big. Oh, that's too bad. Sorry, random cap. You don't get to go on the board. So we are forced to grab another one. Let's see. What do we have laying around here that looks pretty close? We could use a tiny piece of wire, but in this case, I don't think so. In this case, I think I'm going to actually go grab that right filter. All right. Okay. I have turned it into a PC. Its transformation is almost complete. It would almost be worth it to carry around a Samsung board just to take components off of so that I could make true bona fide hybrids. That'd be cool. All right, I'm going to step behind the curtain, the magical green curtain, and come up with a 6S donor board. Here we go. All right, now let's see what happens. Will we be able to make this board have touch again? All right, so we got a donor board, and we're going to grab that off. All right, now it needs tick-tock. What would have happened? I wonder if I'm the only one. What would happen in the right to repair hearings? This is not a 6. This is not a 6S at all. What happened in the right to repair hearings? You know, after you sit there and you plan out what you're going to say and you got to submit this testimony. What would happen if the opposition just simply stood up and said, I witnessed a live stream where Jessa Jones very nearly soldered a random capacitor that she found laying on the ground-ish. She was about to just solder it to the board. She came so close. That's what practical repair means around here. I rest my case. And then the right to repair is voted down. But I didn't do it, you know. You can come close, but didn't actually do it. All right, here we go. Nelson says that's the silliest argument. All right, let's see what happens if we grab this. This is the correct dude right here, and go back to our board and see if we can get it on here in the right spot. That's a little pesky bugger. All right, did that work or not? I don't know. Let's see if we have restored our diode mode reading to good old pin 42. Now I've already forgotten which one was pin 42. So let's see. Let's go back here so that I can see what you see. I really don't get TikTok. People have been telling me for a while, like, you should do TikTok. Of what? Repair? You know, like, let's solder a cap on. Nope. That's like all I could come up with for TikTok. All right, so pin 42 is the second one, and it's supposed to be diode mode of 0.316. So let's find out what is it on pin 2. Wouldn't it be great if we were indeed able to burn that short right out of the CPU? And 0.35, and this one is now, oh, you can't see, this one, normal, and this one was ground and is now OL, open. All right, so open. What does that mean? Well, that means that at least that interrupt is not held low. Now, is it possible that the CPU can still work for touch even if it doesn't have any connection to the screen's ability to interrupt? So can the screen still register touch and say, hey, listen to me, I want to tell you something, if the CPU is now deaf, but at least it's not have somebody bringing on the doorbell constantly. It's just deaf, you know. So it's kind of like this. If you went to sell Girl Scout cookies to somebody's house and the doorbell just didn't exist, you could mill around the house for a while. Would they eventually see you and just be like, what do you want? Maybe. I don't know. That's what we got to find out. So this is either going to work or not, but we did at least successfully get the short out of the CPU. And we never even saw that sort of flash of current. It just kind of took it out instantly. All right, let's go back to the hand cam. And let's see what happens. What do you guys think is going to happen? I have no idea. Let's see. Without the cap. Slow chat tonight. Love your streams. Yeah, slow chat probably because I used to live stream all the time. And now, I don't know. Now it's just not as fun with masks and stuff going on. All right, here we go. We're connected. And battery connected. Will it have touch? I have no idea. I think the chance is low since it is open on that line, but not zero. So let's find out. Will it have touch? Yes or no? Let's see what you guys think. This is way more exciting, says Lord Sandwich, than playing Fortnite. You are absolutely right. It is way more exciting than playing Fortnite. All right. Moment of truth. Come on. Goddamn. Boo. Now let's see. What if we leave it around here and just say, can you ever have touch? I don't know. Can we link that line to some other one? I don't know. I don't think it's looking good. Not looking good. So this one, at least, thank goodness, is a candidate for some of the forensics tools that we now have, we got signed up for, and I think we'll still be able to get data. But I don't think there's anything else that we can do to get this CPU. It doesn't have a short in. Doesn't have a short in it anymore, but it is also hard of hearing. I wonder if we could, maybe the old screen was damaged by the short. Right. Jess is getting big Lewis Rossman eyes. What does that mean? Oh yeah, Jess is getting Lewis Rossman eyes. Yeah, I don't think so. I've been sleeping great. I've been started taking magnesium, which is awesome. I was listening to the Sleep Doctor podcast. I will go ahead and try another screen. And since it really doesn't matter, well, that's trolled me for a second when it made that other notification come up. Let's go ahead and try another screen. And why not see what happens if we hit that CPU again? Maybe we can get it to act normal. All right, let's see. All right, we're gonna check it out. Are you allowed to use forensic software on this case? No, we would never do that. I don't know. Let's see. I mean, there's nothing really special about a case that where they have the passcode. We're not talking about cracking or hacking into a device. We're talking about being able to enter the user-supplied passcode. Come on, wake up. All right, nope. All right, let's see if, I don't know, let's zap it again. Why not? Should we zap it one more time? What do you guys think, chat? Should we zap? Should we continue to beat on the CPU until morale improves? Until it finally gives us what we want, which is really awesome touch. All right. I'm bummed out that it didn't come back to a nice, reasonable. What's up with that weird artifact of the camera? I'm bummed out that we cleared this short, but it didn't come back to life. Let's see. Are we still open? Let's take it back off. Oh, no, that's out of focus. All right, let's take it back off and do it again. All right. Thanks to everybody who has given a big thumbs up. Please give a thumbs up if you also think that this is more fun than playing Fortnite. Let's see. This time I'm going to save this guy. Let's just make sure. I just want to beat on it until it gives me the reading that I want. Do you guys do that in repair where you're like, I insist? Still open line? Well, let me solder you again. All right, let's see. All right, let's get this guy out of here. In the old days, I used to do one where it was missing like a timing signal from the CPU, so I made it hybridize to a different device's CPU. And that actually worked. But I don't think that's going to work for a lowly interrupt signal. All right, let's clean this up a little bit here. There's my filter. Don't blow away now. Oh, it is going to blow away. No, you don't. No. Bad filter. Bad. You're going to stay right there because I don't want to go find another one. All right, I'm going to solder you right here. And you're going to stay. You're going to stay right there, okay? There. Good filter. Good job, filter. All right, let's clean this area out a little bit more. Did you change the microscope? Today, I changed it a while ago. I am using the same exact microscope that we sell at store.ipadrehab.com. Oh, and I burned myself. But I burned myself with a JBC and not the Hako that we sell at store.ipadrehab.com. All right, let's just make sure that we got a nice area here. All right. And let's see. You know what would be really like even easier way to do this? To have just done this like through the eye bridge. That would have been a lot easier. If I was smart, I would have thought of that way back when. Just solder a wire to the eye bridge with the filter in place. See what happens. That way, the filter would kind of, in theory, protect it a little bit from any kind of bad explosion. All right, here's our spot. CPU side is the bottom side. And now we can kind of get like a really official reading. We already know what it is. Official reading? Oh, wow. You're kidding. All right, now let's see. Where is my same wire? Let's see. It is all, that is a pube. We will not be soldering that on. We are going to get this wire. We're going to flip it around and see. All right. Touch to AP interrupt. Yes, it is. Yeah, exactly. All right, that's the line. Jessa tried blowing the short circuit with not heavy dose, but a small pulse, and I cleared the short. And now touch to AP interrupt is no longer short to ground inside the CPU, unfortunately. It is now, unfortunately, open. Wah, wah, wah. So that stinks. All right. Yuck, pube. Yeah, pretty gross. All right. So now we're just kind of messing around. I don't think that, I don't really see what we can do here. Let's see. But we're going to just see what happens again. This time I think I'll use something less, like a good old-fashioned 1.8 volts. Not that it matters. I really don't think it's possible to, you know, you can like break a wire that's touching ground, you can burn the wire, but you can't invent function. I don't think you can do that. You think that you need to run an external pull-up resistor? Maybe. It's open now, so, you know, no. I think it's open. I think that it is, whatever injury it had created a short that we were able to relieve. But that injury had, you know, damaged that part of the CPU. So that, I think, is not good. So what Chris, BNC Connection, is suggesting, I think, is if it were still short, could you overcome the short by supplying a different voltage down it, if it still had like some slight resistance to ground? Great strategy, but that's not the deal right now, right? Okay, so we got that on there. And I'm going to solder this to my wire. Let's see. The line is El Gonzo. Yes, exactly. Let's see. Do you think that would be a way to do it then, assuming money and time are no object? What is Thomas suggesting? I don't know. I gotta read up chat. It would see the surface of the die, not inside of it. You need x-rays to see inside of it. So you're talking about, what if you could you heal and open from the CPU to the connector by soldering a wire into the die of the CPU? And you absolutely can do that. You can shave down into the CPU, and I think there's a video on my channel somewhere where I remember I was doing that in a race with the mailman. Like the mailman was coming, we had to do it quick. Really old video though. That's gonna solve a problem where the CPU is intact but not making connection with the bottom pad. So it's an alternative to lifting up and reballing the CPU and putting it back on. That's not the case here. The case here is electrical damage to the CPU itself. So the CPU is not fine. The CPU has been punched electrically in the face. And that caused it to have a short circuit on that problem, which we then punched it again and said, how about you don't have a short? And it said, okay. All right, let's see. Let's see. Probably the short or the voltage injection killed the internal line termination protection. bypass the short with a jumper wire. That's not a thing. All right. Let's see. Anything else here? All right. Jessa, we were talking about a scanning electron microscope and if we could use it to look inside the CPU itself. Oh, you can, but you can also just use your eyes. You can scrape that sucker down and, you know, see, like if you took another one, one of these other 6S's, you could map where in the die of the CPU this trace went. And I've done that before, but not to heal functional damage. All right, let's do this way again. We're gonna, there we go. All right, soldered back on. And Joe Ham, what does old Joe have to say? Joe, thank you so much for sending us Christmas presents. That was super awesome, and my little work apron that you sent me is right behind me, but it's behind the green screen, and I wanted to say thank you for sending me and Mark such a thoughtful gift, and we really appreciate it. Now, what do you have to say about this thing? Could you try a USB keyboard dongle and connect it to the Bluetooth keyboard and enter the passcode and get the... We could do that. However, USB restriction really prevents all that on the modern devices. So not going to be able to do that. All right. So, but what we can do is hook it up to some forensic software that will allow data recovery in the absence of image or touch. Maybe not in every case, maybe not all the time. And you do need to have the passcode. So you can get around that with some of the forensics tools. So that would be, that's kind of the plan B for ones that are, anything that really gives you any kind of a hard time about touch. All right, so now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to inject 1.8 volts. Let's see, let's watch it happen and see what we get here. All right, so we've got our wire soldered on, and I've connected it to DC power at 1.8 volts, and I'm just going to touch it, and I see absolutely no reaction from the DC power supply. So we'll pulse it a couple of times, and I don't think that anything else is going to happen there. Because really what you're trying to do with these kinds of techniques is to burn like an internal diode in the end of the CPU. But I think this one is past that now. Well, let's see. All right. No response. Still completely open, which another way to think of it is that the neuron is burned off inside the CPU from the rest of the circuitry of the processor itself. And I don't think there's any way to reattach that. So I think that that is going to be a giant fail unless anybody from chat has a good idea, I think. And this one is going to get moved over to at least make me feel better about how much crazy money we spent on being able to use these, sort of super expensive tools. So, kind of makes me feel a little bit better about that stuff. But that's the deal. Just so we were talking about scanning electron, punched electrically in the face. CPU needs hydrocodone. Yeah, it does now. Would the phone accept the keyboard? Nope. I thought the internals of the CPU die were microscopic. Nope, you can totally see them. If maybe there's a CPU right around here. Let's see, any CPUs? There used to be a CPU here the other day. I don't know where it is though. Oh, you can see a CPU, stick it under the microscope, scrape it, see what's going on in it. Surgery successful, patient died. Yes, exactly. All right. The neurobe is burned off from the rest of the circuitry. Yeah, exactly, that's what I think. Do you think that 3 volt was too much? I don't think so. I mean, no way to know, but I would say this kind of an approach is about 50-50 in terms of success rate. So it's kind of like depends on what happened. If you can burn that out, then that's fine. And we have solved that on some of those AP resistor, the reset resistors that would get the same kind of a problem. maybe a couple of other times. I've probably only done this maybe 5 times. So that's the deal with this one. This one is not going to be easy. We've done all that we could. We did cure the short circuit within the CPU, but it was not enough to bring back the function of the AP touch interrupt. The only thing that I will do is just stick a screen on it and see if you really let it boot up and you let it kind of go back to a completely sleeping, resting state. You know, do you need interrupt in order for touch to communicate to the CPU? It's possible that you only need interrupt at certain times when the CPU is busy, but maybe you don't need to interrupt if it's not doing anything. So let it chillax until it's not doing anything. That's the only other thing that I would try. Alrighty, that is it for this one. And thank you guys for tuning in and watching my live stream that now with my stream deck set up, hopefully we can make it easy to stream a little bit more often whenever we see a fun case. And make sure that you check us out at store.iPadRehab.com so that you can get your own iBridges. The iBridges are really a time saver. With this thing, it took 2 seconds to realize, this guy's got a short on the AP interrupt line. Without that thing, it would have been downloading that whole connector and comparing it, and that would have been a whole big thing. So those are definitely worth it for this kind of job. And I will see you guys next time.